And so these are the technical questions we received. At the end, we're going to ask for an open forum for questions. So if you don't see your question here, feel free to ask it then, but Jim's going to take these.
Sure. Thank you, Donnie. Okay, first one is who will control the replacement of IT equipment? In the shared services environment, you're not going to have the normal association that you might have in your own data centers with an application necessarily running on a dedicated piece of hardware. The shared services environment is going to be very highly virtualized, and applications may run on different pieces of hardware as the needs of the data center dictate. For instance, if applications are currently running on hardware that needs to undergo maintenance or something like that, in the virtual environment they'll be moved to a different piece of hardware and execute there while the hardware they were previously on is being maintained. So it's actually going to be transparent to you folks largely what piece of hardware your applications actually sit on. So replacement of that IT equipment as part of the DIS shared services environment will in fact fall with DIS. Will agencies be allowed to keep local servers for file storage and backup? One of the things that I want to talk about very seriously, actually a couple things. One is that you'll notice that the topic or the name of the project is actually data center optimization, not data center consolidation. Okay, and there's a reason for that. Yes, there's going to be a lot of consolidation that's going to go on, but consolidation isn't always going to be the only answer. Now, we actually had, in the case of some of these questions, a couple or more than a couple state agencies submit very similar questions, so we kind of consolidated them. This is one of those, and one of the agencies that submitted this particular question was the Law Enforcement Academy down in Camden. Now, they're down there in Camden. They're kind of remote from the capital area and the nice wide area network pipes that a lot of us share in between facilities, between your facilities and the DIS data centers. Okay? So for them, when they're looking at needing to move training videos or having very high bandwidth data transfer requirements, if we were to take and locate all of their hardware or all of their applications, all their data up here in our data centers in Little Rock, that's an issue for them. So again, we're going to be looking at each and every one of your agencies and your agency's requirements on a case-by-case basis. And it's entirely possible that when we get into engineering, for instance, the solution for the folks down there in Camden, that solution is going to include a local server, still administered by DIS as part of the DIS shared services environment, but local to them on their campus, holding their training videos so that all that data only has to transit local area bandwidth instead of wide area bandwidth. Once consolidated, will there be a mechanism to allow sharing of data and access to various databases from the cloud? Or will this functionality be removed? Let's kind of talk about cloud. Can I ask for a show of hands for those of you who know, how many of your agencies are actually using cloud now on your own? Okay, and we expect that. In fact, I expect the answer is probably even greater than that. We have not yet come up with a designated cloud vendor or vendors for the state, for the DCO effort, but that is in fact one of the next efforts that's going to be kicked off, is arriving at a cloud vendor or vendors, and we may not necessarily limit ourselves to one. One of the findings of the Gartner assessment to which Carter originally referred actually suggested that we have multiple cloud vendors, and basically we go ahead and shop rates for who will give us the best deal, for any given implementation. So we're going to be looking very seriously at that. But again, given that there's no confidentiality or security or any sort of regulatory requirement that necessarily precludes your data or your applications resting in the cloud, you may well find that your applications aren't running on State of Arkansas owned equipment at all. We may go ahead and move that to the cloud. If it ends up being more cost effective, there's no impact to performance. And again, it's not in violation of any regulatory, security, confidentiality, or any other kind of requirements. But we're going to be making extensive use of cloud going forward in the DCO architecture. What is it designed for? Accessibility of IT staff to meet agency IT needs. Okay, the DIS resources that support shared service environment will be available to you. We have published on the DCO website all of the contact information for all of the poll team members in DIS. We will update that information as folks come and go from the poll team. If all else fails, both my office and my mobile number are there on that web page. Call me and I will find you the appropriate people. Doesn't matter what time, night or day. Will agencies have access to programmers for agency-specific application needs? Amy kind of alluded to this a little earlier. This, or the DCO effort, is an infrastructure effort. And with the, I guess, notable exception of a couple of things like Office 365 or email, we don't necessarily see consolidating your applications or assuming responsibility for your applications. Responsibility for your agency-specific applications will remain with you folks at your agencies unless you don't want it that way.